Okay, so I'm finally gonna respond to the assumptions about me post. Even though everyone was being so nice, you guys didn't want to make like assumptions. But yeah, I'm gonna read your assumptions out. Okay, so one of them says essentially, I'm just gonna shorten it because some of them are kind of long, but it says that like I'm a nerdy girl and I'm in my head a lot. And that is very true. I'm always in my head, like thinking about things, and there's always a constant dialogue going on in my head. I would say that I'm relatively nerdy just because, like, the fact that I cosplay alone, I feel like that's automatically going to qualify me as nerdy. So, yes, very accurate assumption. Okay, and then you started asking if I play any tabletop games. I don't play any tabletop games. I'm not really good at strategy, so I feel like that kind of just pushes me away from a lot of games. Not saying that all tabletop games are requiring strategy. I did like playing Settlers of Catan. I played that like one time, and I think the box looks cool, so that I would count that. But I feel like that's more of a board game. But yeah, I have been intrigued by Dungeons and Dragons, but I honestly just don't fully understand how the game works. So yeah. And then you're asking, do I have like a secret Gundam collection? I don't. Honestly, I don't really like buying things that much. I think Gundam does look cool, and I also think those little like Gundam type shoes are kind of cool looking and stuff like that. But I don't know. Anything that's like super expensive and has like a lot of little tiny parts to get put together, I usually probably want to, just because I'm gonna also count that as strategy. Like putting together a puzzle requires some sort of strategy, and even though I'm able to visualize things and see how they go together, I don't really enjoy like very repetitive and meticulous things. So yeah, I'm probably not the kind of person who would put together a Gundam, but I do think it's really fun and creative that people like put it all together and paint it, and they really get into it. So I think it is a pretty cool hobby. It just also looks like a really expensive hobby as well. And I don't really have a book collection. I have probably like 5 books. So I mean, I actually do like reading a lot, but I don't know. I spend a lot of my reading energy goes to Reddit, like subreddits, and like news articles and like scientific articles and things like that. But I do have a couple of like classic books that I really do enjoy a lot. But it kind of just goes back to me not really liking to buy things. So in order to like fill up a bookshelf with books, like books that I actually want to read, like that would probably be like a couple hundred to 1,000. It depends how many books you like. But yeah, I'm not really much of a collector of anything, but I do enjoy all different types of music for sure. Okay, and then James said that he thought that I was the middle child. I'm not the middle child, I'm the youngest child. But technically I did. I don't know, it's weird to say, but I promoted myself to middle child, technically. Um, and also, you said I had a middle class upbringing. I wouldn't say I had a middle class upbringing. I would say I had a lower middle class to middle class upbringing when I was really, really young. But by the time I was like a child and early teenager, I would say that it would be considered working class or poverty class. But yeah. And then you asked, like, did I go to college? I have gone to college. I have my associate's degree and I have my bachelor's degree, and I think I might go back and get either a master's degree or a different bachelor's degree. Because when I was in college for the first 2 times for my associate's degree and my bachelor's degree, I was really busy working and I didn't really have that much money, and I just didn't actually really get to like fully focus on my classes and like learn. And I actually love learning and I love trying different things, so it's kind of really disappointing that I went to school for 4 years, and even though I did learn stuff, like I just feel like I didn't really get the opportunity to immerse myself as much as I could have. And the thing with like art degrees or any kind of physical like applied degree where you're literally painting or sculpting, the more hours you spend doing it, the better you get. So it doesn't matter how much you read about art and how much, I mean, this can go for anything. You can read about welding all day, you can read about, carpentry all day, every day, but it actually matters the amount of hours that you've actually put in, like physically doing that thing. And so that would be like my regret with college, and part of the reason that I want to go back too. You said I'm very nice until someone like basically does something to me, and then like I don't really like get back at people, get revenge on people. But yes, if I'm kind to someone and I treat someone nice and with respect, and they're, you know, not treating me the same way or doing something wrong to me, I don't really get angry at that stuff anymore. I just stop talking to people. It's really, you know, everyone's different. Everyone's been raised different. And some people think that they're, you know, acting properly when they're doing like really, you know, evil or, you know, unfair things. And for me, it's like this, you know, I would just stop talking to that person. I would just block that person and move on. You know, I don't really get, it's hard to really get upset by that stuff anymore because I've just gotten to that point in my age where it's just like, okay, this person just thinks differently than I do, and I don't like the things that they do, but maybe someone else does. So, you know, I can't assume that that person is wrong. I just don't like it. So, yeah, I would say, I don't know, I try to be nice to the people that I'm actually friends with. I like all my friends, and if I have an issue with someone, I usually would just end the friendship or relationship. I wouldn't really hold animosity towards them. And then it went on to say that, like, I'm not like a big partier, but I do enjoy a party, which is very true. I mean, I'm definitely a very introverted person, but I do enjoy getting together with friends and like small get-togethers. And I also do like going to like music venues and stuff like that. And I have enjoyed some music festivals, but sometimes they do get a little bit too crowded. Yeah, I would say it also said I'm a good communicator. I would say I'm an okay communicator, but I definitely prefer kind of listening to people more in like my quiet time, but I can also be very talkative. Okay, I have to go back to Sean because you had 2 comments. So you said that like I might be a terrible cook. I wouldn't say that I'm a terrible cook. I don't like reading the directions on things. So when I was younger, I'd be like kind of bad at cooking rice because I just refused to like read the measurements. But otherwise, no, I wouldn't. I'm actually quite. If anything, I'd say I'm okay to good at cooking. I mean, for a long time, I just ate like, you know, like salads with like grilled salmon or just a protein, so that doesn't really require like an advanced skill level of cooking. But yeah, I would say I'm overall like pretty good at cooking because I have to cook often for myself because it's honestly just cheaper to cook for yourself. It's very expensive to eat out. Then you also said like I'm a foodie. I would say yes and no. I've always worked in restaurants. I really don't think I've ever worked at any other kind of like job that wasn't related to food typically. So just by that alone, like I am kind of a foodie in some ways, but I actually don't like going out to restaurants that much. And I feel like that's part of me being a foodie is like, I do like trying new things, but then at the same time, like I know how to cook a lot of different dishes and certain things. And especially now with like food, there's a lot of things that like trend for several months. And so yeah, it's kind of like I do enjoy food and I do enjoy trying new things, but then at the same time, like I honestly typically just prefer to cook things myself unless it's something from like a culture or something that like I could not make myself. Like I'm not gonna dry age a steak in my house, so something like that. But for most other things, I do just prefer to cook it myself. But yeah, I am kind of a foodie because I like food. And then Sean also said I'm innocent, but I would have a kinky side. I'm just going to decline to comment on that one. We'll leave that one at that. And he assumed that I was highly talented. Well, I appreciate that. I'm still trying to work to get better on all the different things I like to do. But yeah, those were Kevin's assumptions. He also assumed that I just forgot that I was kind. I'd say I'm a relatively nice person. And there was something else you said, but I forgot. I could look at it again. Joshua said cultured, sweet, smart, and sassy, I think. And I mean, I can't really disagree with those assumptions, but at the same time, like I can't really call myself cultured. I feel like calling yourself cultured almost kind of makes it like, it kind of is uncultured to call yourself cultured. But I would definitely say I'm not the most cultured person around, but I do try to stay informed. And yeah, I would agree with your assumptions overall, yes. He also said it's fun to see what I do, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really love when people like to like you appreciate my work and you like seeing what I do, and you know, if it just makes you happy or it's interesting. Yeah, and thank you. The rest of the assumption was kind of like a compliment, so I thank you very much. Joshua said he doesn't like to make assumptions, but he'd assumed that I'd be a blast to go to conventions with. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, back when I was younger, when I went to conventions, like I just would not sleep for days and work on my cosplay. Like I would barely eat or anything like that, and so I don't know. I mean, I did have a good time and I did make some friends for it, but I was honestly the person that would be sitting in the room like working on their cosplay for hours and hours, and I might walk the actual like convention floor for like 2 hours and I'd be there for the whole weekend. So in the past, I probably wouldn't be the funnest person. Like it wasn't like I was mean or anything, but I'm just like sitting there working on my cosplay, or I'd be like working on like my homework and my final exams. So yeah, now I think I'd be a lot funner to go to a con with, but in the past, like, I don't know, I had a lot of fun in the room. If you ever came up to the room, you're like, oh my god, like, no one's gonna be in the room. You know that I'll be in the room. I was in the room for the entire 3 to 4 days. The chances of you coming into the hotel room from the con and me not being up there working on my cosplay are extremely low. So yeah, that part is good, I guess. You asked if I was a shy kid and if I ever came that. Yeah, I was extremely shy as a kid. Like, I really wouldn't talk to anybody except for like my one best friend. Like, I mean, I was lucky that I always had at least one friend like all throughout school, but I would pretty much just talk to them. And most of the times if I ended up in friend groups, I really wouldn't say anything at all. I would just listen to people, and I guess I was listening good enough that like they still wanted me to be my friend. But yeah, I was extremely shy and very awkward talking to people when I was younger, but I've kind of gotten over that now for the most part. But yeah, and then you said like I compulsively smile. I don't really know. I mean, I feel like back when my teeth were really messed up, like probably not. Like I probably try to avoid it. But yeah, I don't really know what the expressions that I make typically are, but I feel like I just make strange expressions to people. I don't actually know which kind I make, but yeah. Kevin said that he doesn't like to make assumptions, but he's assuming like I'm relatively intelligent. I try to think outside the box and things like that. And yeah, I definitely try to think outside the box. I don't know. I would say I'm an informed person, but intelligence is kind of hard because like I feel like intelligence is more about technical knowledge of things, and so I have like knowledge in a bunch of little different things. But yeah, so I don't know how. I mean, I feel like rating, you know, like determining someone's intelligence is kind of hard, but I just try to stay informed and like talk to people with different perspectives of me. So I feel like that, you know, like what else can you do? Sean said that he assumes that I like what I do, and overall I do like what I do. Like my day job, I enjoy that. And yeah, hold on, I forgot what else. Okay, and then finishing up your assumptions, you said that I kind of dabble in everything. That's very true. I mean, anything that's considered like art related, I'm going to dabble in it. And I think honestly, like there's really an art to everything. So hence I have to just be interested in everything. Yeah, question. But anyways, that wraps up my assumptions. James, you asked me to tell you if you were right. You were pretty correct about pretty much all of your assumptions, and honestly pretty much all the assumptions that everyone made were extremely accurate, outside of I'm not a terrible cook, I'm not the middle child technically. I think those were the only ones that weren't like 100%, but yeah, if this was like a final exam, you guys would have passed the class. Everyone had very, very accurate assumptions. But yeah, so that's what I have. Oh, my eyelash itches. Okay, well, yeah. It's like 2 a.m. and I decided to do this at 2 a.m. for some reason. So yeah, finally answering your assumption questions. Yeah, I am really curious. I like to do things just to see like what will happen, essentially. That's very accurate. I would say I am like a relatively cautious driver. I do always get like launched out of a car or hit by an airbag the wrong way because I'm sitting in my car wrong because my seatbelt's not on. But yeah, I'm somewhat of a cautious driver, but like I wouldn't say like I'm the most. I don't know. Like I'm an obedient, like law-abiding biker. I've never really gotten any ticket. The only ticket I have was like not a ticket I should have gotten, but I've never had like any speeding tickets or anything like that. So in some ways I am a cautious driver, but I also feel like I'm just like where I live, you just have to be on the defense like 24/7 because of how people drive. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like an okay driver, I would say. I don't have any points on my license, so I must be pretty